Thanks, Justin, for taking the time today to come on the show. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
Let's start off. Tell us a bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, I'm a registered physiotherapist. Grew up in Saskatchewan, small town Saskatchewan. Went to U of S, did my undergrad and my physio degree at U of S. And as soon as I graduated, my wife and I moved out to Vancouver, BC. And we've been out here for about 27 years, got 3 kids, and started my company in 2013.
Wow, congratulations! That's a good run.
Thank you.
13 years, if I'm doing my math right there.
Yeah.
That's great. And tell us about your company.
Yeah, we're a mobile. I started off just as a solo practitioner doing mobile physiotherapy, and over the years have grown it into being a multidisciplinary team across 8 different health disciplines. And one of the unique things about us is that we're fully mobile, so we do not have a brick and mortar clinic, as many physiotherapist entrepreneurs do. But we serve Vancouver, the Lower Mainland, all the suburbs around Vancouver, as well as recently expanding to Calgary this year.
So tell us a bit more about the mobile for those listeners that may not be familiar with mobile physio and how that works.
Yeah, it's a great question, and one of the really weird things is that we still hear week in and week out that people don't know about it. Like I'm in a few different networking groups, and one of our groups got invited to do kind of a seniors expo at one of the care homes here in Vancouver yesterday, and we had several people come up to us and just say, "Oh, I didn't even know this service existed." So it does really make us want to get our name and brand out there even more. But basically, we get a lot of questions about this. Like, some mobile services will have like a big van that they send out. We don't. We just deploy a team of, we've got close to 40 practitioners now, that work in different communities, and we do a pretty thorough job of our intake, so that when someone calls our office or emails our office, we really want to try and find out like where they're having challenges, where they live, and try and find a fit of one of our clinicians who would be a good match with them. So we would then send a clinician out to their home. It could be their home, it could be a condo, it could be a care home. We do some work in, like, we see people at work sometimes, like for, busy professionals who really value their time. They want to be at work. We can see them at work. So we can really see people in a wide variety of settings, whatever is most convenient for them.
Now, other than the physio table itself or the bed or whatever, sorry, I'm not using the right term here, but sometimes there's other equipment that may be required, correct? So the intake form, I assume, establishes that so that your person going out is fully equipped?
Yeah, that's right. Everyone has their own equipment, and we don't need a great deal of equipment. I mean, in general, we're working primarily with the senior population. So we've got, usually in our kits, like, we've all got our own kit, and there's going to be probably some TheraBands in there. There's going to be some light dumbbells, some massage lotion, lacrosse ball, foam roller. Like, everything can fit in a small bag. Some ankle weights. We do use some modalities, so we've got, like, it's amazing now the portability of some of the electrical modalities that are available. So we do tend to take a much more of a kind of a hands-on education, active approach to our care, but we do have the option of having some portable mobilities that are available as well. And the other thing that I often took with me would be like a balance pad, because especially with senior population, balance is often an issue. So there's a lot you can take that it's not overly big or heavy, or the portable massage tables are a little more cumbersome, but really not
Right.
that bad.
So, I guess the question is, why would someone why would anyone go back to a brick and mortar after being able to experience this in their own home? I mean, how convenient is this on so many levels?
Yeah, I mean, geez, good question. I mean, there are obviously maybe some things that we can't offer, like a shockwave, for instance. Like if you needed shockwave therapy, that machine is big, but that's getting pretty specialized and specific. So there's obviously going to be maybe some more, like some physio clinics would have maybe a gym or like some more robust equipment. But honestly, nowadays, a lot of the people that we go see, a lot of them have small home gyms, or if they live in condos, they have amazing gyms that we can use, sometimes pools. We can meet people at community centers, so we can go to, we're approved to go into like community center gyms and pools. So really, the convenience is pretty fantastic. And I can say even myself, now that I'm fully in the business owner mode and work from home, I started to utilize more in-home services myself over the last, 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, I can just be like working and then I get my treatment and then I'm right back at work. I don't have to go out and fight traffic. And it's definitely a lot more efficient for me. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Before we went live, we talked a little bit about, I was on your website, and the multiple disciplines that you and your team provide. And you and I talked, and I said, I always think of physio as kind of one thing. Can you share with our listeners a bit more about those disciplines and how they all kind of work together?
Yeah. Thanks for the question, Pat. That's a great question. And really, I've been working as a physio for 27 years now, and I worked for 15 years. I started my career at working at a hospital and working with teams, really, because when we're a lot of the people that we're working with, in particular, the home care crowd, that the cases do tend to be more complex. Like there might be a reason why they can't go and access a traditional brick and mortar physiotherapy clinic or even an outpatient center at a hospital. And so I learned fairly early on when I was out in the community, you are kind of out, for the most part, you're out there kind of working alone, as a physio. And then, you've got the client in front of you that has some really complex care needs. So I started to learn pretty quickly that I wanted to build out a multidisciplinary approach where we could take care of the whole person, and that includes disciplines on more the physical side of things, like physiotherapy and kinesiology and rehab assistance. So rehab assistants work really closely with the physiotherapist. They're sometimes known as physiotherapy assistants, as do kinesiologists. So this is a way to, especially with the neurological populations that we see, like people that have had like a stroke, they're wanting intense rehab, 5-6 days a week. And our physiotherapist schedules tend to fill up pretty fast and pretty quickly. And the physios don't always have enough time in their schedules to see the client as much as they want or need to be seen. So we can utilize this sort of physiotherapy assistant model to provide care to clients at a lower cost, as well as they're highly skilled and trained and educated, so they're still receiving really good care. They work directly under the supervision of a physiotherapist. And then from there, we added on registered massage therapy and acupuncture. And obviously, a lot of the disciplines we have on our team are able to work fully independently. And we also saw the need for mental health support in the community. So we have a few registered clinical counselors, and two out of three of them actually do home visits. They prefer to do home visits. We have one that's just virtual, and they all do a bit of virtual, but it's really unique to be able to find some of these disciplines, especially massage therapy and clinical counseling, people who are mobile. It's almost like finding unicorns out there. And yeah, so the most recent service that we added in was speech and language pathology. Again, just a real growing demand in the community with the aging population, whether it's kids or seniors. And yeah, so we're always open and curious to see what the needs are in the community. And then we just work towards, we try not to introduce new disciplines too often. Like this year, we'll probably just be, launching our speech and language pathology services and really try and make a good go of that and get some traction, and not try and add too many things, because there's a lot of it's a lot of work involved on the marketing side of things as well.
Speaking of marketing, thanks for lobbing that one up for me. Can you tell us a bit about what kind of marketing tactics have worked for you in the past and which ones haven't worked?
Yeah, it's been a real learning experience. I mean, from starting out in the early days and not having much marketing budget to doing a lot ourselves, not really knowing what we're doing. As far as, say, something like even our website, like just having a real sort of bare bones homemade website, to, gradually working with individuals who can do a much better job of building us a good website. So we really invested a few years ago in a new website, and I think that's paid dividends for us. We get a lot of great feedback about our website. I think it's also been good as a recruiting tool. Like a lot of the clinicians that we've hired and onboarded over the last several years often say to me, like, I love your website. And so I think that's been a great investment and marketing tool for us, and we continue to tweak it regularly. We're always kind of looking at it, going like, how can we make it just a little bit better? And we've done our best to try and make it as client facing as possible, so that there's information there, but it's not like an overload of information. And then we've over the years worked with 2 or 3 different marketing firms and companies in Vancouver, but we never really felt like we were getting the results. And so we kind of pivoted a little bit, and we brought someone on more kind of in-house, and we've been working with her for about 3 years now, and she's been excellent. And we could tell within about 6 months or so, we really started to see a difference. And what I mean by that is, just a difference in a lot of the metrics that we look at, like our website visits, even calls that we get, website inquiries, bookings. Like our bookings went up, and we really learned that meeting regularly with her helps. So we used to just, with previous marketing companies, maybe meet quarterly or monthly, but we meet every 2 weeks now. Yeah. And we've just really gotten to know her. She's really gotten to know us. She knows our business inside and out. She runs all our, we do, social media. She runs our social media, and, we're constantly looking at like how we can get in front of more people, because brand awareness is still, a big thing for us. So it's kind of a combination of things, really. And then for myself, one of the biggest roles I've been in the last year, maybe year and a half or so, is being a lot more out in the community. So being a lot more community facing, attending community events, and doing more networking. I think I'm in like 4 different networking groups right now. So
wow.
There's a lot of moving pieces to marketing for sure.
Yeah, but it really does. It's interesting, right? You had a situation where you didn't have success, and now you're having success, and it really does go to show the impact of good marketing. And it is hard to find. You are right.
And I think the other thing too is that we, as we grow, we continue to spend more. Like,
right.
We invest every year. Our marketing, line on our P&L goes up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I get that question all the time. What percentage of overall sales should I be spending on marketing? And we do a lot of work with franchisees and franchisors. And, the typical model is kind of 4 to 5% of the top line revenue gets spent on marketing. But if you really want to grow, we recommend more in the 6 to 8 range. And usually we get, we get some pushback on that. But if in theory every dollar you spend is going to generate 4, 5, or 6, then why wouldn't you spend more? But That's a whole other podcast unto itself.
Totally, totally. And this is one of the challenges I think as we're talking about entrepreneurship, like when you are a young entrepreneur and you maybe not paying yourself a ton or you're not making much profit. It's like how can I spend like 5% of my budget? I know I was there. I was one of those people, and now I'm fortunate enough to be in a position to invest a little bit more in it, and you see the value in it, but it's challenging in the earlier days.
It is for sure, especially most businesses, unless they're VC backed, start off as one person, and then they grow and expand. And in the meantime, that one person has to generate a certain amount of income to put a roof over their head, and depending if they have a family or not. But any entrepreneur has been down that road. Before we get into entrepreneurship, though, I did want to ask you. You've recently, in February, you opened up a location in Calgary, which is outside of your current geographical zone. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it's something that we've wanted to do for a couple of years. We've been talking about it. We've got a couple people on our senior leadership team that are from Calgary, and they have parents there and family there. I kind of knew it was probably going to be quite a bit of work, and I think for a while I was probably the bottleneck. I think I was holding things up a bit because I knew that it would probably require my time as an owner quite a bit, and I just don't think I was at a place until probably almost a year or so ago, like maybe August, September, where I was feeling energetic enough and ambitious enough to take it on. So I let our team know, you guys still want to do this? And they're like, yeah. And so we just started meeting, weekly. We set up like a weekly meeting rhythm, our assistant clinical director and our director of operations and myself. And we just started to build out a big series of checklists in Notion, and we just each had our own kind of areas of things where we were getting stuff done on a week-to-week basis, and we just slowly chipped away at it. And we had a feeling that probably our biggest hurdle would be finding a great physiotherapist to start off with. Physiotherapy for us is kind of the driver of most of our business. Like, it's about 65% of what we do in BC here. And so we were very fortunate in November, December to interview a physio from Calgary, and she was willing to join us. So from there, it was some of the hurdles were the legal and regulatory side of things, like just even right down to contract agreements. Working with a lawyer in Edmonton, and there were some differences there between BC and Alberta, and just in how our contract was done, and just getting that approval from the college, took some time, and it was pretty involved, and it was a little slow and painful at times for us, because we had this great physio that we knew was ready to go and ready to start, and it was a waiting game for a while, like, until we got all our ducks in a row. But from there, it's been a really exciting learning experience. I've been traveling to Calgary. I've taken 3 trips there since we launched, and just spending time in the community, getting to know people, doing business development, networking, and just spending time in the community with our physiotherapist Rebecca, and great learning experience. I almost felt like I was back starting from scratch, like back in the old days. But yeah, we just brought on our second team member there, and we talked about it, and we've learned a lot from our BC model, and the second hire for us in Calgary was a kinesiologist. So we're really excited to have her on board, and honestly, we could probably use another physiotherapist already. I already spoke to Rebecca last week, and she's full, and so
Wow.
I mean, we're just really grateful to be up and running there.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome. Anytime you can be expanding into new territories for any business, it's always exciting times for sure.
Thank you.
Tell us a bit about some of the challenges. We talked before we went live. It's kind of two questions I ask every guest. One is, what advice would you give to someone that's listening and owns a business that's has some challenges currently and maybe going through some difficult times? So is there anything you'd like to pass along to that individual listening?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest things I've learned over the years is just to pace myself, you know? Yeah.
Hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Kind of I often tell people, it's a marathon, not a race. And yeah, so, just taking care of yourself.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I find a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll come out of the chute and they'll be going 100 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour, right away. And it's just not sustainable. You can do it in bursts for sure.
yeah. Yeah.
But eventually you have to take a step back. You have to, okay, what is the overarching strategy here? What is I'm trying to accomplish? So
Yeah, really just really, what I've worked a lot on over the years is just having a really good morning routine, like establishing a great morning routine. And I think so whatever that looks like for you, that for me, that includes some, gratitude journaling and a coffee and a walk and some breath work and, just some email checking and then, starting my day a little bit later and before I take any meetings. So just getting those things in place so that I'm ready to face whatever comes at me that on any given day. And I think the other thing that's really helped is coaching. So yeah, I've been working with, I've worked with about 3 different coaches in the last 10 years. And, I'd highly encourage people to work with a coach.
yeah, great advice. It's interesting. Entrepreneurship, mental health, we tend not to talk about those two things, but boy, they are so connected, or they should be connected. But I think as entrepreneurs, I don't know what it is, maybe it's our stubbornness. We almost don't want to admit if we're having any kind of challenges or if we're stressing
Yeah.
or if we're struggling and we just want to work our way through it. And there's a time for that. But I
Yeah.
also think there's a time to take, I don't know how you feel. You're in the business more than I am, but in the mental health side of things, but to
Yeah.
take a step back, would you agree?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Like it can be challenging being an owner or founder because you gotta put on a brave face and yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. Every day you got to screw a smile on your face, whether
yeah,
you're in a good
yeah,
mood or
yeah.
not.
You want to, show up as the brave leader for the team. But
Of course, of
I
course.
think the thing is too is just yeah, being able to be vulnerable is really important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed, agreed. What advice would you give to someone that's listening that's thinking of starting a business but just can't seem to pull the trigger?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's so interesting because sometimes I have days where I'm like, why the hell did I do this? What was I thinking, right? And then some days I'm on cloud nine, I'll be like on my bike in the middle of a Tuesday or, on the golf course on a Friday going like, this is the best life. So it is a bit of a roller coaster. The journey can be, the highs and lows are there for sure. But I'd say, it's always good to like talk to other people. I really like this idea of, people often reach out to me to go for a coffee or pick my brain, and I'll just have like a really open and honest conversation with them. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't also try and come off as like being too down or negative and go like,
Yeah.
why the heck would you want to do this? Like, what are you thinking? But just like really talking to like a number of people in the industry that are doing it or have done it or who established. I think that really is helpful. Having some forethought and planning is probably not a bad idea as well. Like I often tell people, you don't necessarily have to have like a detailed, robust business plan. I mean, that can't hurt depending on what business you're thinking of launching. For me, I feel like I've been playing like catch up all along. Like I really didn't have much vision or plan, to be honest, which is kind of hard to believe, but I didn't. So I'd say, like, at the end of the day, if it's something you're really curious about, just go for it.
Great advice. Justin, before we let you go, where can our listeners and viewers find out more about your company?
Yeah, we can be found on our chipperfieldphysio.ca. Our Instagram handle is at Chipperfield Physio, and I'm active on LinkedIn as well. And that's probably the best ways to get in touch with either myself or, our business.
Thanks so much for your time today, Justin. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Pat.